The Trailhunter has to be the coolest trim level for the 4Runner for 2025, at least in my opinion. It looks great, it looks rugged. You have this, Toyota doesn't call it snorkel, but it looks like a snorkel. It makes some very cool sounds when you're stepping on it. You don't even have a sunroof for the Trailhunter. Instead, you have this roof rack up top. You can put tents up there, whatever you want. 2-inch lift in the front end, 1.5-inch lift in the rear. We do have these beautiful 18-inch bronze wheels, and I think it looks great in this Everest green color. I did make a redesign of this though, because if you look at the front end here, we have this line in this area being the same line as this one right here. So it feels like it's double stacked with the same type of design, if that makes sense. I wanted to switch that up a little bit when I first saw this. Glad to see we have the full LED headlights here as well. And of course, the light bar right here in the middle, in addition to the yellow amber fog lights right there, looking very, very clean. So what we're gonna do in this video is, of course, you know the drill. We're gonna have a look at the front end design, the side view, the rear, the interior, which I also love in this case. I think Toyota did a great job with the interior here. Then last but not least, we're gonna take this for a drive. Before we continue, let's take a minute to thank today's sponsor, LastFit. LastFit is not only about automotive lighting, they also have a floor mat product line, and their mats already cover most 2025 and 2026 vehicles, including this 2025 Toyota 4Runner Trailhunter that I'm going to show you today. They sent me their brand new sets of floor mats, and the install is pretty straightforward. What's so satisfying about the LastFit floor mats is that they fit the interior of the vehicle, or the floors of the vehicle, so perfect that they just slide right in on install. All LastFit floor mats and bed covers are custom made using 3D scanning that measures the dimensions of your specific vehicle to ensure a perfect fit. The mats and liners are available for a bunch of different makes and models, such as Toyota, Ram, Honda, Ford, GMC, and more, and offers full protection from front to trunk, so you can buy with confidence and a peace of mind. And the cool thing about the 4Runner floor mat specifically is that they also cover the back side of the back seat when the back seats are folded down. The mats remain flexible in all weathers and don't get stiff when temperatures drop below zero. They're also, of course, very easy to rinse off, whether you get covered in snow, slush, sand, or mud. The LastFit floor mats are made from 100% TPE material, giving them great elasticity and durability. They have some sponginess to them to increase comfort when you have your feet on them. And in addition to that, you get great friction from the TPE material even when wet. They also have these small little rubber spikes on the underside of the floor mats, making sure they always stay in place. So go to lastfit.com to order yours, and make sure you use my discount code that's gonna be linked in the description below or in the pinned comment to get a special offer and special discount from LastFit. And thanks to LastFit for sponsoring this video. Now, of course, starting with what is powering this 2025 Toyota 4Runner Trailhunter in this beautiful, gorgeous metallic Everest green. We do have a 2.4-liter inline 4 in addition to a 36 kilowatt-hour e-motor, putting out 323 horsepower, 465 pound-feet of torque in total, which is not bad torque numbers at all. If you look at the design here, some people might not like that we don't have a cover in this case, but I actually like that you can see everything going on here. You have an 8-speed automatic, 4-wheel drive, obviously, locking rear diff, towing capacity up to 5,800 pounds, 0 to 60, not the quickest, I don't care, that's not what this is designed for anyway, 7.6 seconds. Fuel economy comes in at 23 city, 24 highway, and the price for this is $69,758. Now you do have, if you look at the side here, we do have a 2-inch lift in the front end. Love to see it. And we also have this much wider fenders right here, which creates a 2-inch wider stance compared to a regular 4Runner. And I do think it gives a lot more proper stance to this vehicle and makes it look a lot more aggressive. 1.5-inch lift in the rear end as well, giving it a little better ride height than a standard 4Runner at 10.1 inches. So with that said, let's close down the hood and let's talk about this design, because I really like what Toyota has done here, even though the back seat in this case really does not feel like a proper sized back seat in my opinion. Now looking up front, we do have this double stack design that we talked about, with this line right here being the same line as this line in this area. I want to change that up because now it feels like it's double stacked with the same type of design, and that is one redesign I did with this when it first came out. I really like that we have the bronzed out heritage badge right here. We have full 360 camera, front mounted camera located in that area. Everything being completely open in the top half and also the lower section right there. This being the Trailhunter, it does come with this beautiful integrated light bar right there. Only works when you have the high beams on, by the way, and you also have these rigid fog lights in this area that can shine either white or amber or yellowish, orange. You can switch that up. I'm going to show you that in the interior later on. All the way down low, we do have, for this case, a steel skid plate. Love to see that as well. Now I do like the color combo here with the Everest green, have some black axis in the front end in addition to the grayed out lower portion right here, creating a very, very nice overall feel for this design in my opinion. Up top, nicely sculpted hood with these ridges going in here, which you can see from the driver's seat, creating these beefy side fenders from the driver's seat, making it feel pretty special when you're driving this vehicle. Of course, the integrated radar is located right here for the cruise control system and everything you need with the radar right there. Beautiful design overall. It definitely still looks like a 4Runner, and I also like that for the Trailhunter here, you do have the full LED headlights, obviously, with this beautiful daytime run light right here, in addition to the indicator with the same light. Dual high beam and low beam are full LED. I like that we have the Trailhunter logo in that area all the way down low. And if we look at the other side here, it actually says Trailhunter right there instead of having the logo. Beautifully done. Wish this was a little opening right here that was functional, but this is just closed off. Other than that, I mean, the front end of this, let me know what you think. To me, I definitely feel like this is a proper 4Runner design, and the upgrade, I mean, the 4Runner was such an important model for Toyota. They could not mess this up, and I really don't think they did. It still looks pretty much like you would expect a 2025 4Runner to look like. Now, coming around to the side view, we do have the iForce Max badge right here in chrome. I want to have this be blacked out. And then you have this air intake, big air intake on the side. Looks like a snorkel, but it's you can't really take this underwater up to this any level up here. It's not properly designed for that. So that is in fact just an air intake, and it sounds really, really cool when you're stepping on it. I'm going to show you that when we take this for a drive later on. Now, coming around to the proportions, it has a kind of classic proportions. This rear end with this pillar going up in this area definitely reminds me of the second generation 4Runner. Glad to see that they have the same type of styling right there in the back. And I also like this Trailhunter logo that we have in this area being blacked out, and this portion that carves out a little bit of volume right there. You have a rock slider right there. This is not a side step. You can't really put your foot on it, but it's definitely going to protect the vehicle when you take this on the trails. Now look at the suspension here, specifically tuned for overlanding, and it also says Trailhunter. I'm not sure if you can see it right there in the same bronze, beautiful bronze color, looking very, very clean. These wheel and tire setup, beautifully done as well. Definitely set this trim level apart from the rest of the 4Runners with the bronze wheels, 18-inch wheels, 33-inch tall tires, 265 millimeter wide tires, looking absolutely great. Some say that these fenders, they prefer them to be painted. Personally, I would not want to have them be painted at all, because this is gonna be very scratch resistant, or you kind of don't care about it since it's just a very cheap fender. So if you get some scratches on it, it's probably pretty cheap to replace those. Of course, you're probably gonna get some scratches if you take this vehicle on some serious trails. Now looking at the side mirrors here, you do have an integrated indicator light here, 360 camera integrated there as well, unpainted. Like to see that as well. Door handles, as you can see, are also unpainted right there. Now look at the beefiness over the rear axle here. Beautifully done in my opinion. I think this is probably my favorite area of the side view, because the beefiness definitely comes into play here with the sculpted body lines that you can see going over the rear axle. And of course, we have the same wheel and tire setup here as we have in the front end. Now, all the way up top, we have this ARB roof rack, which is standard. I do believe it's standard for the Trailhunter. No sunroof, since we do have this instead. They could not put the sunroof there as well. And honestly, I think that is a great idea. It means you can pack more stuff on top of the roof. And it feels like that makes this more of a purpose build from Toyota. You don't need to have every single feature. Even though it is an expensive 4Runner, what are you going to use it for if you buy a Trailhunter? You want to use it for overlanding, meaning that you want to put some stuff on the roof and instead have that capability instead of having a proper sunroof. Now, coming around to the rear end, the taillights, I thought they looked very interesting when I first saw this in press photos. They looked almost too small for me. I want to extend them vertically, so I want to drag down these designs a little bit and have them be a little bit taller. They look almost like a rounded, like a low pixel circle right now, but the design here in general with the black housing for it and the black internal pieces, full LED, of course. You can see the indicator here is also LED. I love to see that. It looks pretty cool still. Definitely has this 4Runner vibe that we're used to seeing from the previous generation. Now, looking at the rear mounted cameras right here, you have one here and one there as well. Toyota spelled out. And of course, you can lower and raise this window if you want to in typical 4Runner fashion. I love that it says 4Runner all the way down low, iForce Max right here, and blacked out for Trailhunter logo in that area. As you can see, the color specs here are the same as we have in the front end. Green, of course, Everest green all over, and then we have some black accents, and then the lower section is going to be this silver trim. You have a full spare size tire located right there all the way underneath, as you can see right there. No exhaust pipes visible. You do have one right there that sticks out on the left side. Opening up the tailgate here, it is power assisted, thankfully for this generation. We did not have that in the previous generation. You do have about 42 cubic feet of space with the seats folded up, and you have 82.6 with the seats folded down. Now, the problem here, if it's a problem for you, I'm not sure, but you can see this being a hybrid, you do have this raised floor. It's raised pretty substantially right here in this segment. You can see how the floor sits very high up, and you can't get the Trailhunter with the third row because of the hybrid setup, because the battery lives right in this area, underneath this area right there. You can see in other trims you can't have the third row, and you do have the cup holder still intact here for the Trailhunter for the third row. If you open this up, you do have a little bit more storage underneath in this area, but it's really not a lot. But again, you do get a great powertrain, and you got to sacrifice a little bit for that. You can, of course, fold down the rear seats if you want to have more space, even though it's not going to create a flat surface, unfortunately. One cool feature back here, though, is that you do have a built-in air compressor in this area, 12-volt outlet, house outlet in that area, in addition to a couple of LEDs on each side, some tie downs here as well, and some storage. You can use, I guess, you can use the old cup holders for the third row as storage here, as I've done in this case with the first aid kit in that area. So that is the back area of the 4Runner. Not the best luggage space, but it's still, for me personally, it's definitely going to house or be able to carry anything that I would ever need in this vehicle. So let's close this back down. We talked about the exterior design. Let me know what you think about this. Do you think this is a great refresh of the 4Runner, or would you want to see it in a different type of styling? For me, as I said, to me it definitely looks like a 4Runner. It still has the soul of a 4Runner, and I think it looks pretty good. So with that said, we talked about the exterior design. Now let's have a look at what's going on in this interior, which is one of my favorite interiors right now, because I think everything is laid out in such a great position. So let's have a look at what's going on for this interior. Now, the first thing you're gonna notice when you open up this door is the massive 14-inch screen coming straight out of the Tundra. Wish we had maybe a smaller screen. It's almost a little bit too big for my taste. 12.3-inch gauge cluster, but it sits underneath a beautiful old school housing. We don't have a head-up display for the Trailhunter. I don't care about that. Don't need it. The steering wheel is a new style of the steering wheel for the 4Runner Toyota. We have a bunch of buttons right here. Fuel cap, you have the traction control, automatic high beams, a bunch of aux buttons you can hook up to whatever you need. And down here we have the settings, as we talked about. You can change the fog lights to either be yellow or white by clicking that button, and you can engage the light bar with this button when you have the high beams on. Looking at the door panel, very aggressive styling here. This is not the real leather, this is synthetic leather all around for the interior. Rubberized door handle, love to see it. Proper grip here. You have the memory seat settings, door handle, of course, controls for the side mirrors and windows in this area, storage in this area, JBL speakers integrated right here, in addition to some cup holders in the lower section and an LED right there. Love to see it. 12-way adjustable seats for the front. And the seats themselves looks very nice. I do like the orange or bronze stitching and piping coming back here. So let's jump in here and have a look at what's going on in detail with this interior design. Let's turn off the hazard. You have the start button right in this area. Turn it on. Now, this being a full hybrid, it starts up in EV mode sometimes, but in this case, it fired up the engine. Now, you can't really drive this in full EV mode. You can drive it as soon as you step on the gas a little bit, it's going to fire up the engine. But when you're cruising or rolling down a hill or something like that, it's going to disengage the engine and go into EV mode. Now, look at the gauge cluster itself. Beautifully laid out. I'm sure you've seen this gauge cluster before. Typical Toyota gauge cluster. You can customize it a little bit. For example, if we hold down this button right there, we can change what's in the center portion. We can change what's on the right side right there or in the left side as well. Let's keep it on turbo gauge. It sounds pretty cool for now. Now, looking at the infotainment screen here, you can see just how massive this is. And this actually almost sticks up above the hood line or dash. And that is what I don't want to see with big screens like this. If you're gonna have a screen like this, I want to have it sit lower than the dash itself. You do have the JBL speaker here, which can pop up, of course, being a portable Bluetooth speaker right there. Now, the infotainment screen itself is pretty straightforward. I'm sure you've seen this infotainment screen before as well, the system from Toyota. We do have full wireless Apple CarPlay, Android Auto if you want to engage that, or you can have the native map right here going into settings. We can change up some of the settings here. For example, you can see all the settings we have here, something you're probably not going to do very often. But if you need to change something, it is inside of the software itself. It's not a very complex software, and I appreciate that personally. I don't think we need a lot of stuff because people are probably most of the time being connected to their phones like I am right now. I do love this texture. It looks almost like some sort of stone material, looking very clean for the Trailhunter. Also, these golden accents around the Toyota logo right there, or the letters, and how the glove box is integrated beautifully in the dash. It's a pretty large size glove box as well, in addition to some storage up top. Hard touch material up here, which is totally fine. I don't really care about that. What I do care about, though, is this area right here. You can see just how beautifully laid out this is. It's so simple. Heated and ventilated seats. We can turn on the ventilated seats right now because it is still pretty hot, which is crazy. It's October. The snow is coming any day now. We have heated steering wheel right there and rubberized feel for the climate settings. Extremely easy to just feel your way down here when you're cruising on the highway. Adjust the temperature like that instead of having to go into the software and click the exact pixel to get to where you want to go. This is always going to be superior to any sort of integration in software when it comes to climate settings, in my opinion. All the way down here, we have a wireless charging pad, 2 USB-Cs in that area, in addition to the 12-volt cigarette outlets. Gear selector, proper sturdy gear selector from Toyota. Putting it into reverse, going to pop up the reverse camera. And this camera system from Toyota is great, even though it might not be the highest resolution you've ever seen, but you do have all these different views. As you can see exactly where the wheels are positioned. You even have this 360 view right there. And going into the reverse camera again, you can see we have a bunch of different trajectory lines as well. So the camera system is fantastic. In addition, you also have this top view, 360 view for the vehicle. Now, moving back here, parking brake is now electronic. Great to see that for 2025. All the drive modes located right here. We do have Eco, Normal, and Sport. You can go into multi-terrain select as well, or you can go into tow haul mode or crawl mode right there. You can switch it up from 2-wheel high, 4-wheel low. I like to keep it in 2-wheel high as long as I'm not on some serious trails. Here you have the camera button right there, locking the rear diff and stabilizer bar disconnect. If you want to have more articulation for the front end, just click this and it will be able to take you pretty much wherever you need to go. 2 cup holders right there, in addition to the key, which I think they probably should put a Trailhunter logo in the back instead of just having a regular 4Runner key like this. The key feels very, very cheap for sure. Want to have this feel a little bit more special for a special trim like this. But I do like that it says Trailhunter right there inside of the door itself. We talked about the seats already, proper bolstering. You don't really need more than this. No sunroof, beautiful, love to see it. You have the camera right here, or you can have it as a regular mirror for the rear view mirror center portion in that area, opening up the armrest. Not a lot of storage down here. This is probably the shallowest storage I think I've ever seen in an SUV this size, but at least the armrest itself is very, very comfortable and very cushy. Love to see it. Look at the steering wheel. We talked about it already, customizing the gauge cluster on the left side, in addition to voice command, volume buttons right there, cruise control settings in this area on the right side, washer stock on the right side, indicator stock right here on the left. Exactly as you would expect. This interior, I think, is great. It's got everything that I want to see, pretty much. I don't really want to change anything except for maybe having the screen being a little bit smaller, actually, than what it is right now. Like 10 years ago, I never would have thought I would have wanted smaller screens in pretty much anything. But now I want to have smaller screens in everything. The interiors of cars and also phones in general. They're becoming too big. So let's jump into the back seat. Have a look what's going on here. You can see just how high up you're sitting back here because of the battery pack that's underneath the seats, essentially. Looking at the door panel, JBL speaker, cup holders, same rubberized feel for the door handle right here. Some storage right there, not a lot of storage, but some at least. So let's jump in here, have a look. If I can fit behind my own driving position, being 6'1", 6'2", not bad, not bad. I just feel like I'm sitting honestly on top of the vehicle because I'm sitting so high up, but no problem with the headroom, even though I'm sitting very high up. Legroom is pretty decent as well, not too bad. And all the way down here, they could have maybe added some sort of storage or something to make this look a little bit more modern. But I do like we have some traditional vents, 2 USB-Cs in addition to a house outlet right there. And if we fold down the center armrest, we have 2 more cup holders in this area. So pretty nicely done for the 4Runner, both with the exterior design, which I think still feels like a 4Runner, and of course this beautiful interior feels very rugged and purpose-built. So with that said, I talked about the exterior design, the interior design. Now let's take this for a drive. Alrighty guys, let's take the 2025 Toyota Trailhunter 4Runner Trailhunter for a drive. I'm gonna lower the window here a little bit because I want you to hear the noise this makes when we're stepping on it from this air intake. It might get, I don't know, I think it sounds cool, but I can understand if people might think that it might get a little old after a while. Because it's very, very loud. I mean, it's not subtle one bit. I kind of love it. It almost sounds like an old turbo whistle. It sounds pretty cool. So let's roll up the window again right there. Let's talk about the driving experience of this Trailhunter. First of all, I love the name. Trailhunter just sounds cool. It sounds very purposeful. You go and hunt for trails in this, and that is what this was built for. I also like that Toyota did not, make it into Toyota did not add features that you don't want if you're getting an overland 4Runner. For example, the biggest example is going to be the sunroof. No sunroof for this. So stepping on it here, it pulls pretty well. I mean, you have a 2.4 liter inline 4 turbocharged with the e-motor, 323 horsepower, 465 pound-feet of torque. It's enough. You don't need more than that, in my opinion. You don't need this to do 0 to 60 in 4 seconds. It's just not that type of vehicle. It's supposed to be a vehicle that you can ride in comfort and also handle some proper trails, if that is what you want to do. Obviously, that is probably what you're buying this for, I hope at least, to use it to its full potential. And I also like this interior a lot. For 2025, very unusual to see an interior like this. where you have a gauge cluster sitting inside of a housing, the physical knobs for the climate settings down here. It's just beautiful to see this, in my opinion, and not have everything be turned into, you know, pixels and screen for every single vehicle that comes out this year. At least Toyota still have some ruggedness to this interior. Same with the Bronco as well. That's what I love about the Bronco interior compared to this one as well. Now, the ride quality here, extremely comfortable. And I also like that it has a two inch wider stance, or the width is 2 inches wider with these beefy fenders that we have for the TRD Pro and also the Trailhunter here. In addition to the 2-inch lift in the front end, definitely is going to help with the trails, obviously. 1.5-inch lift in the rear gives it this leveled stance that I want to see in vehicles like this and also trucks. The proportions are spot on, in my opinion. Even though the back seat is not the biggest back seat, I can still fit there behind my own driving positions, being 6'1", 6'2", so it's not really a big deal. Now, the only thing that I would like to change is probably the range. When you get this with a full tank, it's close to 300 miles of range, which is not bad. But this being built for overlanding, I wish Toyota had. I don't think they have an option for a bigger fuel tank, since we do have the battery pack in the back. It's just not going to fit. But this would be a perfect vehicle to have with, let's say, 500 miles of range on a full tank. That means you can take this wherever you want to go out in the wilderness and not have to worry about the range. Even though 300 miles is still pretty decent, I guess you can also bring some extra gas with you if you know that you're going to some serious wild areas. The ride comfort, fantastic, no complaints there. 33-inch tall tires with a lot of rubber on the side, and the 18-inch wheels, with the bronze wheels looking fantastic, in my opinion. I love that they made the wheels different from any other trim levels for both the Tacoma Trailhunter and also this 4Runner Trailhunter, to have it be in that bronze color, looking great. Thankfully, they did not make the wheels black in this case. I really appreciate that. So we're coming out to the highway here. Gonna show you just how comfortable and the level of noise we have for the when we're driving on the highway. Still, of course, a very, very comfortable ride, all, you know, in pretty much any situation we're in. Stepping on it here, going downhill. 8-speed auto doing its job. We're up to 65 right there. So again, it's not the quickest vehicle, but I don't think people buying this expect it to be, you know, quicker than this either. Because again, it's a purpose-built vehicle. Now, driving at 70 here, cruising at 70, it is a little noisy in here for sure. You can definitely hear a lot of wind noise. But do I care about that? No, I don't. I'm very easy to please when it comes to cars. You know, it doesn't really matter to me if it's a little bit noisy in this vehicle, because it is so capable for what is built to do, and cruising on the highway is not the main priority for this vehicle, even though it has to be comfortable in these situations as well, which it is, even though it might be just a little bit noisy for some people. Personally, I do not care one bit about that. So that is my review of the Toyota 4Runner Trailhunter. Great job by Toyota. I hope they stick to these type of interiors moving forward as well, because I don't want to see this go away. Please, Toyota, do not put this section down here, this beautiful control panel, do not make that integrated into the infotainment screen for whenever the next generation 4Runner comes out. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video.